Hey guys, this is Coach Marco. Thank you so much for checking out my channel. Today I want to talk to you about something that is dear to my heart, and it is how to actually start and explode a consulting business to over 7 figures. Boom, right? You guys are watching this, and I know a lot of you guys are saying, you're looking at me and you say, hey, Coach Marco, how did you ever build your consulting practice to over 7 figures? And I know, we live in a world where a lot of people want to become they want to become coaches and consultants, and they'd love to build a service business really, really fast. So I'm going to tell you today exactly how I did it. I'm going to say this. I think to become a consultant, there's actually two roads that lead to the world of consulting. Number one, a lot of people go and they get an undergrad and then they get an MBA, and then they actually go and work for a big consulting firm, right? They start you at the bottom. You work your way to the different levels, and then eventually you're like, wow, I know my game pretty well. And then you spin yourself out of that industry, and then you start your own consulting practice. You see a lot of people doing that, and that's a great way of doing it. Now, that's not the way I did. My way is after college, instead of actually going back and getting a master's degree, I actually decided to take the entrepreneur route, right? So I built businesses for myself. And by the time I was in my late 20s, I had actually built and acquired a mini empire of businesses. I sold those businesses, kind of took a break for about 6 months. I sat on the beach trying to figure out what the next phase of my life was going to be. And then at the age of 31, I ended up moving to California, where it was the center of the world, right? 2001, Silicon Valley was the center of the world. There was so much energy. The Googles, the Yahoos, the LinkedIn. All these companies were just kind of starting out at that point. And that's when I said that I was going to go into the world of consulting, right? Now, I didn't jump in the consulting and said, okay, I'm going to grow my business this year and I'm going to explode my business. The first thing that you have to do when you build a consulting practice is you need to build momentum. And then you need to build momentum in two different ways. Number one, you need to create a brand for yourself in terms of your reputation and your ability to actually create results. So when you start out, I would rather you work with 20 clients the first year than you work with 6 clients the first year. So in other words, I would rather you charge this much money the first year than you charge this much money. The goal is to create momentum, right? Every time you work with a client, you're getting testimonials, you're getting results, and you can leverage those results to building a beautiful website, to create another presentation. That's how you're going to grow your business. You want to create results. Very, very important, and very, very quickly you want to do that. Also, in parallel, you want to start defining your own, what I call IP, your own intellectual property, your own processes, your own system, your own method. You see, there's so many consultants and coaches out there that if you just play with the sharks, it's going to be very, very hard for you to actually be recognized out there, right? So what you want to do is you want to bring a solution to the market that nobody else has, right? Let me tell you what I did. Early on in my career, I realized I was actually doing a seminar in Silicon Valley, and I asked a bunch of business people, what's your job? You run a business, what's your job? What's your number one job? And people started to, spill out. And I had a big whiteboard behind me, and I started to tell people, I started to write down, what people's jobs was. And, people was like, oh, I have to pay the bills. I have to train employees. I have to create some pamphlets. I have to build websites. I have to, and they're listing everything that they're doing. I have to make some phone calls. And then I had a huge whiteboard, and I stopped when the whiteboard was filled up. And there was probably about 200 items. I counted them really quickly. So it's about 200 items. In other words, if you own a business in 2004, you probably had about 200 things that you had to do. Now today, with the advance of the internet, and now today everybody has a Facebook account, a LinkedIn account, an Instagram account. You need to change your logo every 2 years. You need to innovate constantly. You probably have 300 things that you have to do in your business, right? So when I understood that around 2003, 2004, I realized that the number one problem for my clients was this. They're They're completely overwhelmed by the sheer number of things that they have to do. You know, you run a small business, you don't have the budget to hire for everything, so you have to do a lot yourself. It's overwhelming. And not only is it overwhelming, but where do I start? You know, when you have 300 things to do, what are you going to do Monday morning at 8 a.m.? You know? So it's very confusing. So I realized that most small and medium-sized business owners are overwhelmed, and very often they are confused. So I thought, what could I create? What kind of a solution can I create that would help them, but would also distinguish me completely in my marketplace? And I decided to create a decision matrix to help them see through all this madness out there and help them remove confusion, remove overwhelmment, so that they can actually make better decisions towards their business. You see, when you are overwhelmed, when you are confused, you make a lot of emotional decisions. And those emotional decisions oftentimes lead to disaster in business. So how can you make rational decisions when you're overwhelmed? Well, I created a decision matrix that today I call BOSS, or Business Optimizing Strategic Systems, right? In other words, it's the systems that any business can use to strategically optimize, to strategically make decisions. So I created an intellectual property, and then I started to represent myself not only as Marco Robert, the coach and consultant, but Marco Robert, the guy who had the solution that nobody else had. And then very, very quickly, I drew the attention of other consultants, and then together we actually created a firm in 2004, and then we ended up growing this firm, and then we hired people. And that's how I ended up actually building a full-fledged management consulting firm. And in 2010, I actually left that consulting firm. And now since 2010, I've kind of reinvented myself again into what I call today a super consultant. And that would be something that I'm going to have to cover in a different video, right? But the most important thing for you is this. If you want to grow a very successful consulting firm to a minimum of 7-figure per year, the first thing you have to do is you have to decide, am I going to go back to school and get my MBA and actually, grind my teeth inside of big corporations for a few years so I can get good? Or number 2, am I going to start my own businesses and prove to the world that I can actually create results? That's the other route, right? Then you start your consulting practice, and you start a consulting practice based on creating results for your clients. So I want you to, it's not about money the first few years. It's about creating results, building a brand. And then lastly, make sure that everything you learn, you organize into a methodology that is actually your own intellectual property. And then you can leverage all of this to actually grow not only a beautiful and amazing business, but a lifestyle for yourself that is pretty much unparalleled in the world, right? This is Coach Marco, guys. You want to build your consulting firm? That's exactly how you do it. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, make sure that you actually click the like button. Also, make sure to subscribe to my channel. I create new content like this all the time, every single week. And also, if you have any questions, just make sure that you actually comment below. I read all the comments. I reply to a lot of your comments. I like to engage with you. We've had some really cool discussions in the past. So I really, really like to do this. And also, by the way, guys, if you enjoyed this video, there's another one popping up right here somewhere. So make sure you watch the next video and you stay in touch with me. This is Coach Marco Robert. I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Guys, this is Coach Marco Robert. Remember, if you keep on doing what you've always done, you're going to keep on getting what you've always gotten. Click on the next videos and continue your education.